Happy Monday and welcome to the lab. Today you will be listening to 2 out of 3 of us have head colds. Is it allergies or has spring sprung? I'm gonna go. Wait, that's the same fucking thing. I meant to say, Steve.
Or
spring is not sprung.
We're just trans and very nasally. That's basically all.
Hello, I would like to report a hate crime.
Sorry. I'm just talking about myself.
So today we wanted to talk about a community member's question. Gil, hey Gil, how you doing? You asked a couple of months ago about what to expect as a trans man or a trans masculine person when beginning a fitness journey, what to expect as far as fat redistribution, fat loss, overall shape. Does that about cover it, guys?
Should I read his whole question? I have it in front of me.
That's brilliant.
All right. So the whole question from Gil is, let's see, trans-related or specific issues around weight training. For example, with FTM, does fat loss or gain follow more of a female pattern depending on how long prior to taking testosterone? Are there any nutritional differences depending on how long one has been on testosterone? Does putting on muscle mass change or differ depending on how many years on testosterone? Example, 1 year versus 5 or 10 or more. Any other issues that come up as a trans weightlifter or bodybuilder? So that's the whole thing.
Nice.
But before we jump into that, how's everybody's weeks?
I was trying to skip over that.
You cannot avoid it. It's been I've been blessed with lots of mucus. So that's been great. I have a cold. How about you all?
Same. I gave you that cold, so you're welcome.
Yeah, sharing is usually caring, but in this circumstance,
Yeah, I touched your dishes.
I thought you were going to say something else. I was like, no, you didn't.
Where's my money, bitch?
When did you do that? I was not consenting to that.
But yeah, I mean, this week was pretty trash. I ended up becoming nocturnal because on my flight home from California, I could not sleep at all because this lady had like a heart attack. It sounds like I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't sleep because this woman had a medical emergency. But I mean, it's true. It's more important that she's okay, and I hope she's okay wherever you are. If you're listening right now, lady who was on flight 2083 American Airlines from Sacramento to Charlotte, I've been thinking about you, like, no joke. But yeah, so I was real bummed because it was my first experience flying first class because they randomly had a thing. It's like, hey, for $100, you want to upgrade? I'm like, yeah, for $100, I've never flown first class. But here's the thing. The reason why it was $100 was probably because they did not feed me. And usually they feed you. So I was like, the lady came around. She's like, would you like a glass of water? And it was in a real glass. And I was like, oh my God, this is living. And I chugged that shit down. I was like, all right, I can't wait for her to ask like what drink I want. Cause I'm going to ask for a Diet Coke cause I'm a good boy. And I wasn't going to have a whiskey and Coke like I normally would. Anyway, so yeah, that never happened. She gave me a bag of chips. And then I tried to doze off. And then I heard beep, beep, beep. We need a doctor. And I was like, yes. And then because I was sick and I couldn't breathe out of my nose, I could tell that the pilot was descending a lot faster, probably because there was a woman dying on the plane. And my immediate thing was like, fuck, because my head, like my sinuses, like it was just horrible. You know when babies cry on planes and you're like, oh, that's so annoying. Well, I read about it. Apparently they're crying because they can't clear their eustachian tubes because, they're babies or whatever. And when you're sick, it kind of imitates that. So if you're clogged up enough, you're going to feel like a baby. And let me tell you what, those babies, they're for real. They're crying because it hurts like a bitch. Because I felt like my head was going to explode. Anyway, outside of that, then I slept for about 25 hours immediately following. And that pretty much kicked it. So I've been on the up and up.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
At least you're on the upswing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Kev?
Um,
Oh, I haven't been doing a ton. I just blanked on everything I've done the last week. I don't know, working out, the same.
Yeah.
I'm coaching powerlifting now for Special Olympics, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, that's about it. Nothing too exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't get our colds, but at least you're not like right next to us, so you can escape this
Computer
one.
virus.
This time. It's been cold again in the Midwest, so it's like we had a brief February where it was like randomly warm and like sunny and beautiful. And then I also heard that it was the first time since like the 1800s that it hasn't snowed in February in Ohio. So thanks global warming. But now it snowed like 4 times in March, so
March, man, we have not had any snow this year, which is bizarre. Last year it was like every time they scrape the floor, the outside where I walk, they put the salt, immediate snow again. I hated it. I don't really like snow unless I'm doing a snow sport. Like in my daily life, scraping my car, like I just like long for death. Thank God I work from home. But yeah, no, it's totally weird. And then Cody's weather has been crazy. It's been like he's like, is it hailing? Is it hailing? Like every time.
It's just been like more rainy. We did have a couple days, like right after you left, it was sunny and it was warm.
Of course.
And then, so yep, you brought the bad weather with you. And
I do have to tell this one story. It'll be quick.
Yeah.
But it's been like sunny out again this weekend, cold but sunny. And so I'm like, I'm going to give the dogs a bath. So I gave both the dogs a bath, and I was so excited to have that done because it's production when I do it. And they like dry, are basically dry, and well, not the long haired, but the one's dry, and I let him out to go potty, and the other one follows after him, and I'm like, I swear to God, if you roll in the dirt, I'm going to kill you. And I came in and I'm like, babe, I didn't catch her in the act. I don't think she rolled in mud. And Maddie looks at her and she just turns around and her whole side, she like had laid in the mud. Like there was mud from her side of her face all the way caked into her butt cheeks. And she's a golden retriever, so she has a lot of fur. And so yeah, I had to give her immediately another bath. So I'm like, cool, so cool.
I would like you to do that again.
You just gave her the whole spa treatment with the mud bath,
Well, it's like I don't think she would have got as muddy if she would have been dirty, but because she was still damp, it just like thickened up. Super fun.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's all that happened to my.
doo-doo.
I mean, who knows? Let's be
That's
honest.
fair. Texture-wise, it's hard to distinguish.
Once it's caked into fur.
Might as well be.
I had a dog that used to like to roll in horse shit. That was awful. Yeah, it was like she would get out occasionally, and then we just know. It was like we would go over to where our one neighbor had a horse, and we'd find her over there rolling in the horse shit, and then she just smelled like fucking horse shit. So she would have to get a bath. She was also a mix of a golden retriever, so if you can imagine, she had long hair and was caked with actual shit, not just mud.
I guess it could be worse. I guess.
Yeah.
Like molasses, but bad. At least it wasn't dog shit. The carnivores. Not that horse shit is great.
That's true. That's true.
Could be worse.
Always could be worse.
Yeah,
Always could.
The worst, it could have been human shit. That would have been.
Because then who's pooping in your backyard?
That's right, poop.
Yeah.
Me and my dog.
Then you
poop.
have-
That's how I taught him.
Oh, so then you got multiple problems. Then.
Team poops.
Speak as someone with indoor plumbing.
All right, so should we move in from the shit talk?
Yeah. No, actually, we're just getting started. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah. So trans-related fitness. Let's start with like the first part maybe of this paragraph so we could break it down. So how about Does fat loss or gain follow more of a female pattern, depending on how long prior to taking testosterone?
I'll go ahead and start. So I think once you'll see some like newbie gains like as soon as you get on, but I think once your levels stabilize and you've been on it for a bit, I think for the most part you can just like transfer over to all the expectations of a cis male essentially. I think once you start seeing like facial hair and your voice drop and that kind of thing, the other side effects that you want to see, I usually tell people to switch on over.
Yeah, I think it depends too. Like, I mean, it can depend on your estrogen levels. If those are a little higher, maybe you haven't had your histo yet. I noticed, so probably about a year into my transition, I was still like kind of store my body fat in a more female manner because it just hasn't really like built up in my system yet. But I also noticed it could not be related. It could just be that I was spent more time on testosterone. But I feel like after I had my histo, that's when I really started to see the fat distribution change to a more male-like pattern. So it could be a few things. It could be time being on testosterone. Could be that my estrogen was a little high. I don't know. But those are just some kind of observations without a whole lot of scientific backup.
I know it's all anecdotal. For me, I wasn't skinny enough to notice, so it really, I mean, I just got fat. Like, I was already a big boy, but I got bigger because they tell you, they're like, oh yeah, it's second puberty, you're going to be hungry. But no one told me, or I ignored the information. It's like, hey man, you're not a 14-year-old boy going through a growth spurt. You're just going to get wider, buddy. You're hungry,
Yeah.
but it's just so I did that. And so I didn't really notice. I actually didn't super notice a lot of redistribution until now. Like now that I've gained some weight back post show, it do be in my gut is the predominant. Whereas I used to be a hips and thighs and ass kind of guy. You know what I mean? I still am, just not for myself. So that's
well, I don't know why, but I've never been someone who held my fat there. I've always been a belly guy. Belly and face is where I hold all my fat. I feel like
very affirming.
Yeah, I don't know. So like that's kind of always how I have looked, and I even now it takes me a long time. I have to get pretty shredded to like see abs and stuff, or I have like weird powerlifter looking abs that are like a beer belly with abs on front. It's very strange. Cody has seen it in my pictures.
Yeah, I would say like I usually store my fat like lower back, but I will store it in my face as well. So it's kind of more evenly distributed, I think, throughout my body. But it did used to more go to my hips, which made me really self-conscious. So I haven't noticed that as much. I mean, it still does go to like my ass and shit, but it's not in like a female way, if that makes sense. It's just sometimes, your ass is fat. So that's where your body's going to be like, yeah, we'll just put it in the trunk, for later.
Where it doesn't go on me is my ass. My ass is flat. Doesn't matter the time of year or what's going on. Composition-wise, it's flat. So really got to focus on those glute bridge movements.
Yeah, I was going to say, going to work on those glutes then. But so should I go to the next part of the question?
Let's do it.
Let's see. Are there any nutritional differences depending on how long one has been on testosterone? So
I'm going back to my original answer. So like once you start seeing the other things that are changing, I think it's pretty safe to say that you can use like the male nutritional guidelines and stuff like that. Male macro needs or whatever you're looking at. That's my answer.
I would say like
different.
No, I'd say like, the only reason it'd be different if you still had a cycle, like you had it that hadn't stopped yet, then you might need a little bit more iron or something along those lines. But yeah, no, you're pretty much just another human being that needs the same amount of nutrition.
You just need more test, my guy.
You just need to drink stronger coffee and maybe some whiskey now, maybe cigars. So those are required. So, and you must definitely sit with your hands in your pants. That's just the main thing for post transition. Just kidding.
Yeah, when I felt my extra X chromosome like fall off and turn into a Y, it's like my hand immediately would go in there. And also I can only wear underwear in the house. Like I'm like, I can't go anywhere. I'm in my underpants. God forbid there's like a fire or something. I mean, that's happened to me, and that's a whole other story. But I don't need to tell that.
I think also the other one is that you have to spread your legs wider when you sit down. So it's just something that's important to accommodate the hand in the pants. So
the hands.
That's what you meant. Yeah, totally.
I do have to say, because so man spreading is like a pretty hot topic when it comes to things, because it's just like, oh, there's no space because these guys are man spreading, like it's a thing. But as someone post-op, I will say it's just so you don't squish your balls.
Yeah, well, some of us don't have dick and balls.
No.
I know, and the ones that don't are the ones that are like, stop man spreading, and it's just like, okay, but you got to a little bit. I can't close them all the way. All right.
I like to. It feels comfier, and also when you're growing up a girl and you get told to sit like a lady every time you're sitting somewhere, I'm like, you know what? I'm a spread them. I'm a spread them to my heart's content.
I just don't like people around me, so it works out.
Away.
Yeah, it's like you have an introvert bubble, so then you can just man spread, and then maybe there's a lot of men that are introverts, and that's just what they're really doing, and we're just assuming, They're like, my balls are so big, I gotta sit like this. Oh, this is going nowhere fast.
This is a little bit of a tangent, but there's this guy in my gym who wears like spandex every day to the gym with no shorts on over it, and I feel like it's very strange.
I have one of those too.
So weird.
Age range?
He wears like, oof. Yeah, what's your guys' age range?
Age range? Probably in his 40s.
Oh,
probably same.
That's worse.
Same. And
he should know
he
better.
Doesn't just wear leggings. He wears like very bright ones. He'll wear like gold leggings. Yeah, it's never normal. It's always bright. Yeah. And I'm like, do you get off on this? Because
where was he when I went?
He wasn't here. I haven't seen him for a while, but Des can vouch. Like
I believe you.
He'll come around, and you're just like, you have to try not to like make eye contact with the one-eyed snake because it's just staring at you. And then and I'm like, does this guy like get off on this? And he just like likes to catch people staring. I feel like that's a thing.
It's like a voyeur kind of thing.
Though I also think it's weird because so I work at the gym, so I have to go to the restroom and do like restroom checks or whatever during my shift and like make sure there's soap and stuff. But this guy at the gym was in the shower and he was at the sink or after the shower and he was like at the sink just butt ass naked, and I was like, can I get in here? And he's like just had a whole conversation with me naked, and I'm like, what is happening? And he's like 70s is my guess.
Well, you did ask if you could get in there, so he probably took that the wrong way. He's like, yes sir, you can.
Is this not a gym men's locker room?
So ridiculous.
Oof. Yep. Anyways, all right. Next part of the question.
A traumatic experience.
Yeah.
I like to sprinkle them in, make everybody feel at home.
Yeah, or uncomfortable either way.
There's always that one guy who doesn't wear any clothes.
Oh yeah, there is.
I actually had a boss.
All right.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. I have a story.
Sorry, go for it.
No, like, wait, tangent. I had a boss, and he's not listening, but many moons ago, and he wasn't a nudist because he couldn't be, but he always talked about how much he wanted to be a nudist. And I want you to just imagine standing next to your boss, and you're like listening to him talk.
Where
about
did it come up at work?
I don't know how it did, but he was like, yeah, you know, we're not supposed to wear clothes. We're just supposed to be naked. And then I would just be standing there like, I want to get away from you so bad. And now that I'm thinking, I'm like, that probably could have been like an HR thing because he was so insistent. It was almost like that energy of like he was wishing all of us were naked and we were all just standing in a circle.
Oof.
Anyway, now you know that.
Oh,
That's a lot.
weird.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Anyway,
Naked people.
yeah, they're really wild.
Speaking of naked people, I'm just kidding. So next part of the question, does putting on muscle mass change or differ depending on how many years on testosterone? Example, 1 year versus 5 or 10 or more. I think it just time,
Yeah.
like you're going to have more muscle at 10 years on T than 5 if you've been working out. Like, yeah. So as long as you're consistent, I mean, you're going to see more initial gains when you first start because you got those newbie gains. And then it'll kind of slow down just like everyone else because the newbie gain phase is over. But yeah, you will definitely have more muscle mass at the 10-year mark than the 5 if you've been working out since, you started essentially.
Yeah, but I do not think that is like super T related. It's just kind of like, are you consistently working out more so? It's not going to be the T itself per se.
Yeah.
I think it kind of seems like the vibe of the question is, I'm not going to look like Jessica Rabbit. You're not going to look like Jessica Rabbit, like when you're working out on test, you're going to look like a dude that works out. You're not going to look like, Jessica Rabbit. It's going to be okay.
What if you want to look like Jessica Rabbit? No, I'm just kidding.
Don't go there.
You're like, well, then you probably shouldn't be on testosterone.
Yeah. All I could think of was, do you think if it was a human Jessica Rabbit combo, they would have hairy ears or like skin ears?
Huh.
Hold on.
That's where my
Jessica
head
Rabbit
went.
was a woman. I thought
Would they
Jessica
have hairy
Rabbit-
armpits, or would
Wait,
they
wait,
just
wait,
shave
wait.
their fur right underneath the armpit?
Guys, do you not know who Jessica Rabbit is? I feel like a weirdo. This is Jessica Rabbit.
No, I know who Jessica Rabbit is.
She's not a
Yeah.
rabbit. Where's the camera?
Well, she kind of.
Jessica Rabbit's a rabbit.
She's not
She's
a
like Bugs
rabbit.
Bunny.
She looks like that.
Well, I
Like,
can't
so-
see you.
I can't see you.
Well, that's that's gonna go in the list of like weirdest things I've done. Now I'm out of focus.
Well, we can't see you at all.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, Jessica Rabbit. Anyway, move. I guess that wasn't important. I'm like, no, she's not a rabbit.
She's not like Bugs Bunny?
Mm-mm. She's a redhead.
Well,
Normal
she's
human.
kind of though. Like, I'm gonna Google her.
Yeah, you.
Jessica Rabbit.
All I think of is the wolf whistle.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So well, the only experience I have with Jessica Rabbit is that it was like a cartoon before Roger or whatever Rabbit came on, and it was weird as a child.
Yeah.
She was in Who Frames Roger Rabbit?
Yes, correct.
Oh, she isn't a rabbit.
Yeah.
She's not.
It's a very confusing name,
'Cause
but
her
it's funny
name is
because,
Rabbit.
like, yeah. But yeah, I just would picture her as a rabbit.
But
because-
Roger Rabbit was a rabbit.
Roger Rabbit is a rabbit, and are they married? Does
I
anyone
thought
know?
That's something called bestiality, kids. Don't do it.
Then
It's
so
okay if
Jessica
Looney
Rabbit
Tunes.
and Roger Rabbit's kid will have flesh ears.
So your question
Flesh
still
rabbit ears.
stands, just not
Yeah.
the way that you originally.
Exactly.
But will they have a tail? I think that's the biggest question. You know.
No one's listening anymore.
No. So last part of the question. Any other issues that come up as trans weightlifter or bodybuilder? So honestly, I feel like there's too much emphasis on customization towards FTM, whatever, like FDM chest workout, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, cool, you have the same muscles as someone who is not FDM. It's a chest workout. Just do a chest workout. It's like, I understand the emphasis of being like, oh, I want to make more masculine shape. So I want wider shoulders and I want a wide back. And it's like, cool, yeah, you'll get that, but you have to, work your whole body to create balance. And it's just a matter of patience and time for you to get that. Because if you just work your shoulders and your back, you'll be very unbalanced. So I wouldn't be like, here is a specific FTM workout for you to create a more masculine shape. Just start working out while on testosterone and you will have a more masculine shape.
Unless your legs are so far ahead of the rest of your body. Go down to once a week.
Yeah, that happens. But I think the other thing that is really hard sometimes when you're FTM, the only thing I will say that I think is maybe a little different is that it gets really frustrating getting caught up in the comparison game, because when you're comparing yourself to cis men, especially like so, and I'll just give you an example of what I'm kind of talking about. So I've recently started working out with a training partner who's a cis man, and great guy, have a lot of fun, and he's been not working out for years. Probably hasn't worked out since college, so it's probably like 8 years or something like that. And he picks up everything really quickly, weight wise, just because he's had that practice back when I didn't. So like, even if I've been consistent for so long, he still can pick up things pretty quickly and get back to strength. So I think it's more of a mental load than necessarily a physical load, but it's just something I wanted to point out just because I do think that plagues us a little bit more, is that comparison trap, especially with cis guys, just because I don't think a ton of people, at least not in our age bracket, were in the weight room, even if we played sports young. But most boys were. Yeah, didn't want to look bulky.
That's why
only sports training.
I bring dweebs with me to the gym. And if you're listening, friend, I'm talking about you. You make me feel better when you put those 20-pound weights over your head. No, he knows. I already picked on him. Anyway, I agree. There's a certain amount of. I went with a friend a while back, and he just like deadlifted like, I want to say 315. Just he's like, yeah, I haven't done this in a while, and he just picked it up, and I was like, I hate you. But I don't know. I think part of it was he's just so much bigger than me, so it kind of makes sense, right? Like if I could, But I do know what you mean. We're smaller. I think it's really only fair. Is this guy about the same size as you?
What was that?
Is the guy that you're training with about the same size as you, or is he bigger than you? Like frame.
Oh, he's bigger than me. He's like 6'2".
Yeah, then it's like you have to tell yourself, well, at least for me, I tend to frame it as like, not that you asked, but like I'm just a little guy. And so proportionally, I'm like, yeah. So I usually train with other little guys, and then it's more better,
Yeah. To be completely honest, I hold my own with him on everything but arms.
Hey, you will get there, dude.
So, oh well. I don't mind. Because I know there's like being how we were raised. He's had testosterone in his body for his whole life. I've had it for like a while. I can't think of my date off the top
I
of
also
my head.
forget all the time.
I have it written in a notes app somewhere. I think 2017.
I think I'm at 5 years. So you're at 6.
Yeah, I think we 2017. So whoever wants to do that math, I think that's what 5 years.
Because I was 18.
No,
And
6.
Cody was 25.
What?
I said Cody's at 25.
I'm at 8, I think. Yeah.
He was at 25.
25 years. I'm just kidding.
25 years on T. Yep.
This is my voice. 25 years on T. These days.
Is there anything else that you think makes a difference, or that like trans folks in particular need to pay attention to when working out? I think the only thing I would say is that sometimes things can be like dose dependent. So like if some trans guys are at a lower dose, they're probably not going to see as much changes as quickly when it comes to working out. So there might be a little bit of lag time, especially if I've noticed that if someone uses testosterone gel, not great. No, I might get shit for that. But like,
Sorry.
generally, people's like results, it takes a lot longer because, and also they have like breakthrough bleeding because you can't really ever tell how much your body is actually absorbing or how much is wiping off. And I know you apply it every day, and so there's the argument that your levels are actually more stable, but that is not what I have seen through working with people who have used it. So, you know, if there's someone out there that's like completely happy with their gel, but they're also a bodybuilder, I want to hear from you. But I don't see a lot of gel users who are bodybuilders who are like happy with their results. Sub-Q can also be a little bit, you know, sometimes you'll see a little slower results, but I think it depends on administration, you know, the thickness of the fat and things like that. So, you know, I think those are just little tiny things that I will pay attention to when it comes to clients when they come to me and stuff like that, because it can be something that plays into how I set their macros or maybe, you know, training. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember trying to tell my doctor that my testosterone levels were making me dysphoric because it was definitely a thing of like, you have facial hair, so you're good. And that was on a really low dose, but over time, you know, just it improves everything when you have like at least more of a moderate range of testosterone. So I really think in general, we as trans men need to educate our healthcare providers more as far as treat us as you would a cis man as far as T levels, because if you're shutting us down like our other stuff, you know, what we came with out of the box, you're going to screw us up completely if you're fine with me sitting at 250, you know, like at least 5 or 6. Like, come on. So
yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
That's the other thing too. It's just like, you know, with doctors, they might be like, okay, your testosterone levels are within normal. They're the low end of normal, but you're fine. And you've got, you know, we see changes, your voice has dropped, you got the facial hair, but it's like, okay, but if someone comes to you because maybe they're feeling tired, maybe they're having breakthrough bleeding, or maybe, you know, maybe they do want to see more muscle mass, I would say it's worth talking about being like, hey, can we be, you know, at least mid-range, you know, as Seth was saying. But I think a lot of doctors are just like, they want to give you the minimum because I understand, you know, with health that they're like thinking, you know, less is best. But I think it depends on the person, and also, you know, we're trying to help our dysphoria. So if a 200 level testosterone level is not helping your dysphoria, I think they should just let us, like, you know, be a little on the higher end.
Yeah.
And that's
well, and oh, sorry. Go ahead, Seth.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that's why I will always tell people now that I've wisened up, that's a word, right? Is HRT clinics, just like TRT clinics for cis guys, are great. They're typically cheaper than a lot of the ones that are trans focused. You might have to explain your situation a little better, but I have had overall a better experience and like a better look at holistic health rather than being like, well, you're bald, so it must be working. Like, A little too well.
Yeah, no, you're right. And there's, because there's a lot of trans specific like HRT things that have come along that you could get, it delivered to you. So you never have to worry about finding a local doctor that is trans friendly, which I think is great. But there's a lot of, it's expensive for real. It's expensive. But there's a lot of HRT clinics that are opening up and they are more geared towards, like men or women who maybe are interested in bodybuilding or want to optimize their health in certain ways. It's a little bit more functional nutrition, functional health oriented. But yeah, their prices they are more doable. Even if you might have to educate them a little bit. There might be some like stuff that is a little uncomfortable. However, they are not going to deny you, and money is money. So I would say save your money and do a little, educational labor if you can. They're not gonna call you things you don't want to be called. It's just more like they're just kind of ignorant,
Yeah.
But yeah, my coach Jason has a HRT clinic called Advanced Vitality. So anyone can go through it if anyone is interested. And yeah, he's going to be on here at some point, so I'm sure we can just let him talk about that.
Yeah, it really is just like they'll look at your T levels and care, and yes, it is your level of tolerance. Like if someone goes, "Oh, so you're female," to me, I don't give a shit. But I understand some people don't have that level of comfort, so they might not be comfortable with those types of conversations. But if you can say like save $100 a month, I mean, you can call me whatever you want. I don't care. Just give me my prescription. I do not care. I'll go on my merry way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I thought of one more thing though. So sometimes T levels can make people's blood thicker. So I thought that was one thing that we also might want to mention. I know some guys take an aspirin like regimen. Some guys just give blood a lot. But that is something that you want to keep track of.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just to piggyback off that real quick, for a long time, my test dose was partly so low because the doctor saw that my blood levels were high. Like I had high red blood cell, high with the iron, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to always have to be on low dose. Well, I lost 80 pounds and that went away. So you could also look, it's hard to say. Like I remember having a doctor ask me, do you live at a high elevation? And I did. And then I moved to sea level and I lost a bunch of weight. So like, I don't know. But yes, no, you absolutely should. And that's why, they always say, get your bloods done at least, once a year, if not more often, if you're starting a new regimen. We're not doctors. Don't listen to us.
That's true. We aren't doctors, but I know I have to do my blood every 6 months, I think is what I do at minimum. Yeah,
it's a good idea.
Yeah. It's definitely a good idea just to see where everything is at. That is also something you get through the HRT clinics, like because sometimes doctors are super stingy with blood work. You do have to pay for it, but it's pretty cheap in comparison to if you paid out of pocket at like your usual office or something like that. They're not gonna just price gouge you because they don't take insurance. So yeah, they will just actually give you fair prices for things. So
$30 for a CBC, get liver stuff done once a year.
Yeah, and then like a whole shebang is like $200, but that's actually a really good price. In comparison to, I feel like at the doctor's office it would be like $400 or close to that. At least. So
yeah, I think on my last like full plant panel, I actually saw some data points that I'd never seen, like C-reactive protein and stuff like that, like your risk of a cardiovascular event for people that don't know, and that's just very useful as an aging dude. You're like, shut up, you're not old. I feel ancient. My back hurts.
10 years younger than us.
It don't feel like it, man. Like, what do you do?
Maddie said, because Maddie's 27, and she's like, but in my soul, or something like, only in my body.
I identify as old.
You guys.
I don't have to identify, I just am.
Just am.
Unfortunately. But is there any other topics or things that we think that might be worth differentiating on when it comes to trans fitness versus just cis fitness?
Cis fitness.
Cis fitness.
Sorry.
I don't think so. I think one other thing I wanted to point out was the reason that it doesn't, like, muscle isn't affected by like the longer you've been on T is that the dose is typically stable the whole time, which is the other reason why if you wanted to be a bodybuilder, trans people cannot compete in natural. And we've went over this before, I know, but I just wanted to mention that again. It's because we have such a stable level of T, because we know exactly how much we're putting in. Our T levels won't drop like they would typically with a cis person. Your hormone levels will change as you're dieting if you're a cis guy. So that's just a little tidbit, if you.
Yeah. So we have a little advantage on hanging on to more muscle when we're dieting without having to crash our testosterone and lose more tissue. So that's the whole reasoning behind not being able to compete, Maddie. Unfortunately, but it makes sense. I'm not here to be like, what if we just have them test our testosterone levels like every day of our life, and then we'll make sure we're not cheating. It's like, but we're still kind of cheating because they're actually just very even kill and not dipping.
You just have to come off of it. They're like, yeah, you have to come off of T for like, I'm like, no, I don't want to be a bodybuilder.
I'm like, nope, that sounds awful. Can't do it. I have dysphoria.
I'm gonna pass.
That ain't happening.
No. Anyways. All right. Well, any last words, or should we just hop into the power talk?
Any last words?
I'm ready for the power talk. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Are you ready? I'm just joking. Please don't make this go louder. So this is my quote for today is from Eleanor Roosevelt. All right. We do not have to become heroes overnight. Just a step at a time, meeting each thing that comes up, seeing it as not as dreadful, but not. Let me try this one more time. Bring it back. That was the remix. All right, so let's try this again. We do not have to become heroes overnight. Just a step at a time, meeting each thing that comes up, seeing it as not as dreadful as it appeared. Discovering we have the strength to stare it down. I just kind of wanted to have a little kind of nice quote. There's a lot of shit happening right now, especially when we're talking about the trans community and the hate towards the community. And since we were going to talk about trans topics today, I kind of just wanted to just say that just being here and being trans and just not letting the world steal your happiness is really strong and is really a heroic move at this point in the U.S. society, and you too in Canada, Gil. But I just wanted to say that, and in all seriousness, I know it's really hard, and it seems frivolous to talk about fitness and health and stuff like that. But I just don't want trans people, especially younger trans people, to kind of lose sight of the fact that just waking up and trying your best is all it takes, and just keep pushing. So that's what I have for us today.
I love that, Kel.
Word.
Cool. All right.
Good.
Well,
All right.
until next time, fellas.
Until next time. Hopefully we'll have less congestion.
Go get your neti pot on.
Yep.
All right. Later, fellas.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Bye.